Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today. And we have some fantastic news, especially obviously we got this massive pump yesterday, which was a great thing to see because we broke through these previous highs and therefore have now seen a change in price structure where we are no longer having just lower lows in the price. So what we can potentially see in the future from here is that we have now created this higher high and will also create a higher low. For example, right here, this is not an actual price target or anything. It's just shown as an example, really, because what we want to look out for is that we have a low, so where we get a bounce in the price above this level right here, which is sitting at 61.3K. And as long as we do get a bounce above that level, and then again set a higher high, then we have really seen a change in the price structure. So that is what you want to be looking out for over the next couple days and weeks or so. So right now, looking at this descending channel right here, where Bitcoin has just been consolidating over the last couple of weeks, we got this scary move to the downside here, however, quickly traded back inside the range, and we have now taken out these highs right here. And ideally, if we're talking about this next big level right here, it would be taking out this high right here. Because in the case that you do take out this high, well, then very likely we are going to the top of this range, which is roughly at 71,000 US dollars. And actually, before I get into the short-term analysis for today, I do want to get into this Bitcoin liquidation heat map. And in the case that you're not familiar with this, don't worry, because all you need to know is that typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is most liquidity on this chart. So in this case, on the 24-hour time frame, most of the liquidity right now is sitting at about 66.9K. We took out a lot of liquidity to the downside right here. So now potentially we are ready to move to the upside. And another thing that I really want to show is this 1 month Bitcoin liquidation heat map, because ever since we were in this move here to the downside, when everyone was calling for the end of the bull run, where I saw a bunch of comments and stuff like that calling for the end of the bull run or whatever, I was saying that this is not the end of the bull run, and likely we will take out this level of liquidity at some point that was and still is sitting at 67.3K. And I still remain of the opinion that we are going to take out this level of liquidity at some point, because like I said, we are in a bull run, so it is to be expected that the price moves higher at some point. Though, of course, you must keep in mind the different time frames, because, for example, if you look at this 1 week Bitcoin liquidation heat map right here, obviously we had this massive pump to the upside, which swept a lot of liquidity, close to $1 billion worth of liquidity at this level right here. And now on the 1 week time frame, we do have most of the liquidity to the downside right here, which is sitting at about 60.3K. So this is a level to be mindful of, that potentially the price might get attracted to this level. Now taking a look at the short-term support and resistance levels for Bitcoin, in this pump to the upside, we actually traded above this level of resistance right here. So it has now been flipped into support. So potentially you could get a little bounce or something from there. But in the case that this level doesn't hold and you see the price trading below this 66 down to 65,000 US dollar level, well, in that case, the next big level of support below that is sitting from about 62.4K all the way down to 60,000 US dollars. But that is about it for the bearish scenarios, because in the case that we trade to the upside from here, we might face some short-term resistance, once again, at this 67.3K level right here. But above that, the next big level of resistance is already at 68.5K, all the way up to 70,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. Now moving on to the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. Yeah, and we got pretty much exactly what I expected in my last video. I said, obviously, we're probably going to have a huge inflow day because we saw a massive pump. And yes, indeed, we did. So on Wednesday, we got a massive inflow of about $300 million worth of Bitcoin that was bought just on that single weekday. And we literally saw almost every single one of the Bitcoin ETFs buying, including even the grayscale Bitcoin ETF, which typically is only selling and putting a lot of selling pressure on the Bitcoin price. However, today, even Grayscale saw some inflows. So that is fantastic news. As of right now, there isn't too much else to say about it, but I will start looking into some other charts that I could potentially show for these Bitcoin ETFs to get some more information out of this. So yeah, do stay tuned for that. If you do want to stay up to date with the crypto markets, make sure to subscribe to my channel with notifications on so you get notified whenever I post a new video. Now moving on to Ethereum, where recently it got rejected from the 0.786 Fibonacci level, which is sitting roughly at 4,000 US dollars, and traded all the way to the 0.5 Fibonacci level, where we have now found some support. So we got a little bounce from there. However, in the short term, there have been some changes. So let's take a look at those now. So looking on this short-term 4-hour time frame for Ethereum, right here, you can see that 0.618 Fibonacci level that I talked about a little bit earlier here. And then below that, we have this level of resistance, which is sitting from 32.50 all the way down to 31.50. However, just looking at the most recent price action here, we actually got rejected from this level of short-term resistance right here, which is sitting roughly at $3,050, after which we are now quickly trading to the downside, but falling right into this big level of support, which is sitting from $3,000 all the way down to $2,850. And especially since this also corresponds to the 0.5 Fibonacci level, it is really critical that Ethereum actually holds this level and starts trading higher, or at least consolidates in this level right here. Because in the case that it does not, then the next Fibonacci level below that is sitting all the way right here at the 0.382 Fibonacci level, which is corresponding to the 2,400 US dollar level for Ethereum. So it's actually really critical that this 0.5 level holds. However, in the case that you do see the price trading below that 2850 level, then there is some more huge support between that price right there and the Fibonacci level. And the big level of support is actually from 2720 all the way down to 2600 US dollars for the price of Ethereum. And if we look at the daily time frame for ETH, you can see it is still just in this falling wedge pattern with descending resistance and descending levels of support with these two trend lines. And typically, in the case that you don't know, falling wedge patterns are more likely to break out to the upside. So that is something interesting. However, I do think it is highly dependent on what actually happens to Bitcoin in the short term. Because in the case that you do see Bitcoin dumping to the downside, then likely Ethereum will do the same. And it would really be a question of if it holds this level of support right there. Because in the case that it does not, we will see much lower price action. So the critical level to hold is sitting at about 2720, although I don't think we will start reaching this very soon. I think it would really need to take some crazy price action for the price to just dump straight to this level right here. But that is about it for the bearish scenarios, because if you do want to see the Ethereum price reverse and trade to the upside, well, what you want to see is a break of this trend line, which is currently sitting at about 2765. Which is currently, as of the time of recording, sitting at $3,083. So that is something to look out for as well. Now taking a look at Solana on the 4-hour time frame, and you can actually see that recently, ever since this pump to the upside yesterday, we actually took out this high right here, which is a great thing to see, actually. I did not expect that Solana would take out this high. However, it did, but then started facing a little bit of a rejection even before reaching this critical level of resistance, because Bitcoin is currently dumping to the downside. And of course, this is also having an effect on the price of Solana. So in the case that the Bitcoin dump stops right now, potentially you could see a bounce from this level, which is sitting at about $155, roughly speaking. But if Bitcoin does dump further to the downside, likely it will fall into this big level of support, which is sitting from about $150 all the way down to $140 for the price of Solana. Though if we really get some crazy price action here and Solana actually doesn't hold this $140 level, then likely the price will go to the next big level of support below that, which is sitting from $133 all the way down to $124 for the price of Solana. So now also taking a look at the Fibonacci levels for Solana, what you can see is that recently the price got rejected from this 0.786 Fibonacci level, which was sitting at about $200, and it traded all the way to the downside to this 0.5 Fibonacci level. However, after we reverse to the upside, what you can see right now on the 4-hour time frame is actually that we are getting rejected exactly from this 0.618 Fibonacci level right here. And that Fibonacci level corresponds to about $163. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.